yesterday, you were treated to the final game of year one of the Brian Kelly era of LSU. And it's a game, Jake, in which it was a definite must-win for LSU, in my opinion, in terms of trying to get that 10th win, trying to make this year an emphatic, unquestionable success, all these things that we talked about in the run-up. And it was pretty clear about 5 minutes into the game that not only was it a must-win, but LSU was going to win. As they, look, it's too much to ask a Purdue team that already scrappy and good, but what happens to any team when you take away the quarterback, you take away a wide receiver that led all of FBS with over 1,300 yards, tied for the Big Ten lead in touchdowns, like your head coach, just too many missing pieces for Purdue, whereas in LSU, you have a team that has not one, but seemingly two pretty good quarterbacks, a coach that is there, a new culture that is on the rise, and it was just it was two teams meeting that in this bowl game at least are heading in opposite directions, and it very much felt like that.
Yeah, and I was talking with Doring before the game. He was covering the game for ESPN on the sidelines, the radio portion of it, and he was trying to get a couple of storylines and maybe a depth chart for LSU and, you know, some things that maybe he could go off of on the broadcast. And I'm like, CD, LSU still got Jimmy's and Joe's, and Purdue just doesn't right now. It's like at the end of the day, like it could be a long day for the Boilermakers, and it certainly was that. And LSU, I love the two quarterbacks, rolling them in and out of there. We saw Malik Neighbors with a couple of trick plays. Love the scheme that the offense showed. Defensively, that's where you were really down some bodies, T, but they didn't, it never really showed. I thought they did a really nice job of changing people, changing fronts, changing schemes. They were kind of in a 3-down front for some of the game as well. So I thought there was LSU was like, hey, point of emphasis on this game with a game plan. They certainly had the better players, and it was total domination. Now, like, there's some things that we can get into with the game. I mean, I wasn't expecting two quarterbacks to play.
Well, I mean, that's where we're going to start.
I mean,
right?
not like that.
Yeah, exactly, right? This was not, okay, game's out of hand, let's put in Garrett Nussmeier. It is mighty, like, if you want to talk about fueling it's like sports talk manna from heaven. You want to talk about fueling the offseason, fueling spring ball, creating a quarterback competition here in the bowl game has now done just that. Because, again, it's not like Jayden went down and then Garrett came in, or it's not like you were up big and he came in. This was a planned 2 series, 1 series, 2 series, 1 series. So, obviously, there are some legs to the idea that, yes, this is not settled. This is a competition, and the coaches will make it such, as it should be. Every single position on the football field, if you are running a great program, should be engaged in a competition for playing time. Quarterback is no different, and it looks like it's going to be no different, Jake, going into spring.
Here we are in Baton Rouge and talking about two quarterbacks. I mean, it's just, it's just kind of what it is. I mean, it feels like it's been like that outside of 1 year for the last 7-8 years. And
there is a key difference, though. These are two good quarterbacks.
That part of it is very fair.
Like normally we're talking about maybe it's a bit of a, is it Sophie's choice if both choices are bad? I don't know. Normally it's like a damned if you're damned other way. It's like a rock and a hard place, right? No, the best part about this is, and why as an LSU fan you should be excited, is that I think both guys are very good and have the potential to be great. I mean, you could even argue Jayden was great this year, actually.
Yeah, I mean, is it outlandish to think like maybe there's an offense where we could see it play out like it did yesterday?
Wow. I didn't think we were going to get here. I thought I was going to have to make a joke and kind of throw this idea out there. So are you advocating for a 2-quarterback system?
No, but I'm saying that they're so different in their skill sets.
Yeah.
And it worked out yesterday. Now, obviously, with the opponent that you played yesterday and where they're at compared to some of the teams you're going to play next year, I'm not saying they can work every game, but, like, is that completely off the table?
They would have combined yesterday to go 22 of 31 for about 200 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. I am not a fan of the 2-quarterback system. I know that obviously.
Well, I mean, you got some PTSD there.
Yeah, well, it's like, I was a part of one, right? Even in Well, no, I wouldn't call it a 7-2 quarterback. So that was clearly Flynn, right? But there were some moments there with Paralus. So no, I don't know. I am a believer that your quarterback should be your quarterback. I like guys being able to get into the rhythm of the game because it always comes awkward because, like, okay, let's say you have a planned 2 series, 1 series, right? But then your starter looks great in that second series, right? Do you take him out? Or if he looks really bad in the first series? It just creates so much unknown. It makes them, like, if you're a quarterback, can you play fully comfortably? If you think the kind of hook is always hanging out right around your neck.
Where did y'all end that season when y'all were playing 2 quarterbacks?
Yeah, in the national championship. Yeah, but that's, I mean, but not because of the offense.
I'm just saying.
I mean, the offense did enough, but the offense is not why we made our way down to New Orleans.
It was the offensive line.
Yes, it was the offensive line of which nobody played in the NFL. That's exactly what it was. So, no, Jake, I don't think I'm down with a 2-quarterback system. What I am down for is an open competition, and it looks like you're going to get that. And the best part is, like we've been hammering, you have a coach staff you can trust. This staff has proven that they will evaluate guys and make tough decisions, and just because you're older or just because you're a higher-ranked recruit or like whatever the case may be, at the end of the day, I do believe that this staff will place the best player on the field, or the guy that they believe will be the best. And maybe it's Nussmeier, maybe it's Daniels. Still think it's probably Daniels, but it was mighty interesting when Nuss came in that third series and just did what he does. Hits the back foot, immediately starts getting rid of the ball. And then he did what he did, later, throwing a pick. So it's you got the full experience from both players.
You did. And again, I realized that it was a bowl game and maybe you're trying some things out the way the SEC championship game played out, but in something that's very, very difficult to do, which play 2 quarterbacks in a game like that, both be successful, both have charge of the offense, it actually went incredibly well. And this offense has so many options. Now, defensively, that's where the question marks are going to come, and we'll certainly get into those from now until the end of August. Offensively, you're set up right now for success. You've got the quarterbacks, you've got the offensive line, you've got the running backs, you've got the receivers, you've got the tight ends. Like, you have tight ends coming in. Mason had another big game.
Big game for Mason Taylor.
I mean, now Malik looks like he's ready to be receiver number 1. He looks like he's ready to be the star if he wasn't already. You got Brian Tom, and we could go down the list of who you have coming back offensively, and that's very exciting because you're opening up in probably a top 10 matchup against Florida State. Florida State wins their bowl game. Jordan Travis is coming back. You've got everybody coming back. I would be surprised, actually, if they're not top 10 teams. It'll be a top 15 matchup without question.
Just a couple of Cheez-It champions chopping it up to start the year next year. They get Prince Chedward. We get the giant Cheez-It man with the Kanye glasses on.
Who's feeling cheesiest?
Only one team can emerge. Dude, I mean, that's one of my early weekend winners here, is simply the Cheez-It mascots and the brand of cheeses. I keep thinking about Prince Chedward. I'm literally dreaming about Prince Chedward and creating entire Cheez-It fantasy universes in my head in which Prince Chedward is the ruler. But with Kayshawn out and a clear void at receiver with Jere Jenkins, one of the other neighbors, leaders gone, right? Malik Neighbors saw an opportunity and he took it. Because we will now spend the entirety of the offseason saying that he is your wide receiver 1 because of this performance. And you know what? And he probably will end up being that. But I'm always impressed, again, like I said, when a guy sees a clear opportunity, doesn't let it go by, and takes advantage, and he did that.
He probably already was receiver 1. Like, truly, like when you look at this team and look at how well he's played all season long, he probably already was that. But to your point, T, and it's a good one, this was going to be his opportunity to show that there's no doubt, or there wasn't any doubt, and that he's going to be receiver 1 next year as well. And he went out there and he took it, and he's a player. He's got some dog in him, man. You have to love the way that he plays, and obviously the way the season started and the muff punts, and everybody's like, oh, Malik Neighbors. Like, no, he's a dude. Just stick with him. And I'm glad LSU fans did, because he is a special player. And he's somebody that can be a game changer for this team, certainly next year. And when you start to look at some of the players that caught the passes yesterday, that's where you probably get the most excited about this team outside of the quarterback position, because you saw Brian Thomas Jr., who I still think, like, the sky is the limit with
That
him.
is the guy that I would have maybe, previous to this said, I think he's going to be wide receiver 1 next year. Maybe he still works his way into that. I think Brian Thomas can be great.
I mean, we saw Landon Abieta. We hadn't seen him all season long. He had a couple of catches, but Mason Taylor having 5 for 88 and a touchdown, the coaches knew. And I was yelling.
Told us.
Every one of us that sits here and does this job, and probably you at home as well, at the beginning of the season, we were talking about things like trying to make fetch happen. Like it was Mean Girls. Like, what is going on here? Because you had a true freshman. It just wasn't working out. The chemistry wasn't there between him and Jayden Daniels. He had some misses, and they knew exactly what they were doing. He has turned in to a hell of a football player. And not only in the pass game, I mean, you've pointed that out more than anybody, T. In the run game, he's buying in.
He's a good blocker
as well. And now you've got some reinforcements coming to help him. Now, it was good to see Jack Mashburn back in there yesterday because he had a couple of really nice blocks. You got 3 freshmen coming in to help at the tight end position. Mason Taylor he's a real one. I mean, Brian Kelly, who knows tight ends, he talked about it, and he knew exactly what he was talking about because this feels like a player that for the next 2 years is going to be a real weapon for you.
Yeah. He was fantastic. And one thing you also like to see is, does a team and does a player, do you improve as the year goes on? And Mason Taylor's entire year has just been one steady climb of getting better each week, not allowing some early drops to to loom too large in his head and kind of derail the season. It would have been all too easy. It would have been all too easy to drop that 2-point conversion against Alabama. But he just got better and better and better. He already had a legendary moment there. Mm-hmm. He now has a big bowl game here. Like Jake said, probably the most, and I think he finishes now with the second most catches in a single season in LSU history for a tight end.
Oh, yeah. Tricky Dicky, Rick Dixon.
Is that who got passed up? I was wondering if that was.
Well, I'm sure it is.
He was second or third. I can't remember where Dick fell on that, but yeah, Mason Taylor outdoing our boy.
Tricky Ricky, our guy, our boy, even though he's MIA lately.
He's MIA.
Thaddeus Moss got his single season stuff. Mason's coming for that career.
Yeah, that is fair. That is very true.
Hey, but my guy Dick Dixon, still one of the best LSU tight ends to ever play. You had it for a long time, my man. Had it for a long time. And nobody probably be more excited that all his records are going to be broken than Richard Dixon. Because it means that LSU's doing well.
That is fair, and they're going to continue to do well at that position. Like Jake said, look, Denbrock and Kelly love tight ends, and that's a group that's only going to get better over the next couple of years. One thing they do maybe need to add to, Jake, what does the running back room look like next year?
I think that's still a question mark because you're just not sure about guys leaving, declaring. That's obviously you're still going to have some questions there, and so I think we have to wait. I think we'll have to wait and see. Look, everyone has another year of eligibility because it's college football. Like, it doesn't matter how long you've been playing. It feels like you're going to have an extra year.
I think Mike Jones is finally out of eligibility.
Well, actually, he could come back, but he's not.
Could?
Yeah, he could. Wow, he could come back, I think, but he's not. I know Noah Cain was a junior this year. Obviously, Noah did some things. Now, John Emery's a senior, but he would have certainly an extra year with his situation and with just college football situation. Now, that's the one to pay attention to. Would love to see John Emery come back. Derek Davis, who's currently in the transfer portal. But he played and was explosive in the game. Had a really nice run where he runs over a Purdue defender into the end zone. He's a sophomore, so could you sit down and have a conversation with him since you moved him from DB to running back and be like, hey, obviously this year you didn't play as much because you were moving positions. It was a transition. It's very hard to do during the year, but here's our plan for you moving forward. Could you talk him out of the portal to come back and give you some running back depth there? And again, I don't like talking bad about my own position, but that's one of those positions where you can plug a young guy in and he can be very impactful from the get-go. So you have the state's all-time leading rusher coming in.
Yeah.
You got multiple running backs coming in from this signing class. And so you got guys coming, and depending on how it plays out with a John Emery, with a Derek Davis, you could have a really nice room. And again, Noah Cain, I thought at times he really flashed and showed that he can be a back that can be successful in the SEC as well.
Yeah, Noah Cain kind of snuck his way into quite a few touchdowns at the end of this year when you look up. Do you think they add anybody in the portal?
You should have got Josh Williams too, by the way.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I thought he was done. So he too has another year.
Yeah, he still has another year.
Okay, you're pretty golden in there. I wonder if they'll add somebody in the portal or not.
Yeah, because let's see, Josh would be. He was a junior this year, so I think he'd just be a fourth-year player. I don't even think he'd be a fifth-year player.
Gulf Sales says, I thought once you're the portal, you lose your current scholarship. I don't think so.
No, I mean,
until
look, you
leave.
got Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina is taking himself out of the portal. North Texas quarterback's taking himself out of the portal. No, you can go into the portal now. It's up to the coaches maybe as far as how that plays out.
Yeah.
But if they let him come back and play in this bowl game, even though you had John Emery and you had Noah Cain ready to go, like that tells me that they've got a plan, or at least they want to keep him on the roster. I'm sure they've had conversations with him. I mean, you don't go in the portal and say, you know what, I'm going to go play in the game.
Yeah,
if the coaches didn't want you there, and hopefully they have you as part of the future.